Am I the asshole for telling my sister her baby name sounds ridiculous? Baby names are a sticky situation. I think I've said this before, but baby names are a sticky situation. People, and even like years after a baby name has been picked, when someone like feels the need to change their name or has circumstances around a thing so they need to change their name, it's hard on the people who named that person. So baby names, it's a sticky shit, man. All right. A 29-year-old and her sister Claire, 34, is pregnant with their first child. She's genuinely happy for her. She's had a rough couple of years, so it's nice to see her excited about something. That said, she's taken the excitement to a weird level. She's decided to name her baby something unique, and I think it's borderline cruel. Ruh-roh. The names she's chosen for her future daughter are Malia Seraphine, yes, spelled exactly that way, and Claire insists it's pronounced Malaya Seraphine, but she's adamant about keeping the creative spelling. Normal names are boring, and my daughter deserves to stand out. Alright, I get having unique names. Trust me, I do. I mean, the reason why when I decided to choose the name Ozzy, the reason why I went O-Z-Z-I-E instead of O-Z-Z-Y is because there's most of the Ozzies that people know of. Most of the Ozzies out there, specifically Ozzy Osbourne, which I like Ozzy Osbourne. I listen to his music. I really like his music and stuff. But I didn't want to be that Ozzy. I'm a metalhead. I like metal. I like that. I knew that that would be where people would go if I started calling myself Ozzy. So I knew that I had to change it. So I went with Ozzy and Harriet Ozzy. Ozzy that people wouldn't know quite as much, but was still, and because my grandfather went by Oscar. So Ozzy is a nickname for Oscar. I didn't want to name myself after my grandfather. I didn't want to have that hubris that my name had to be someone else's. But, I never got to meet my grandfather, and I kind of admire him. He had a good sense of humor, a lot of the jokes and stuff, and I was told that I had a lot of his mannerisms and stuff as a child. So, I never got to meet him or anything, and I felt that Ozzy was a good way to represent myself in who I was, because I needed to be different and everything like that. I needed to feel different. I needed it. So it was good for me, but I mean, I could have gone, way off the road. Like Curdy calls me Osford, and yeah, it's cute and everything, but it's not like there's certain things like, I don't know. I get wanting to be unique, I guess is what I'm saying, but there's a point that comes that it's like you're pushing it too far. You're being unique for sake of unique instead of being unique because it's something special. You're being unique just because if I'm not unique, then who's it going to be? Then who's my daughter going to be? Your daughter's going to be your daughter, dude. You don't need to make her more than being your daughter. Stop being so worried about it. I tried to tread carefully, but I told her I thought the spelling was going to make her daughter's life harder than it needed to be. Teachers, doctors, employers, everyone will constantly be mispronouncing it or spelling it wrong. Claire shot back that it's her child and I don't get a say. I needed to get with the times because kids today have unique names and no one cares anymore. But they do. As someone who has had a name that is fairly general, and it gets used by a lot of people, as well as knowing someone and being close to people who have names that are out there and spelled differently and hard to find. It is a thing. It definitely is. When you have that common name that everyone has or that so many people have, you get called, hey, you're just like so-and-so, hey, da-da-da-da. It happens. But having that unique name, that has a whole other bunch of shit with it. Because now you've got people that are turning your name into worse puns or finding real things that like really will be hurtful, or finding maybe even that your name is synonymous with something else that you didn't even realize when your parents named you that. So yeah, it's you gotta be careful. I understand where you're coming from, OP. Here's where things got worse. At a family dinner, Claire brought up the name again, and I made the mistake of saying, "You know you're naming a person, not a fairy in a fantasy novel." She stormed out, and now she's refusing to speak to me unless I apologize, mocking her creativity. My dad is staying out of it. But my stepmom thinks I was wrong to criticize her name and should just let Claire do what she wants. I love my sister, but I can't shake the feeling that she's prioritizing her ego over the baby's future. Am I the asshole? I mean, if I'm being honest here, I'm gonna say no. At this juncture, I want to think about this a little bit, but honestly, you're not coming from a place of like, oh, you shouldn't name your child something unique. What you're saying is this particular spelling and everything, you need to be a little bit careful. Maybe uniqueness is all well and good, but there's also a argument and a place for, do we want to call it normalcy? I mean, I really hate the word normalcy and normal nowadays, because normal, maybe typical, or something that as the child is growing up, maybe you go to a place like Six Flags or Disney World or something, and they want to get a personalized keychain, and there's a whole stack of them, a whole kiosk of them, and they're looking and they're looking and they're looking, and they find a Malia, but it's not spelt like that. That's where it becomes tough on a kid when they see their name, but it's not spelled that way because their parent decided to be special and do their name a little bit different. It kind of does cause a little bit of hurt, and not every place has custom, So I can kind of understand where OP is coming from, saying, hey, maybe you should be thoughtful of your child before you just go and throw this name at them. However, on the other end of that, a parent's, I guess right would be the way to put it. A parent's right to name their child. That's kind of exactly what it is. It's a parent's right to name their child. Exactly. It's a parent's right to name their child. Parents, that's kind of one of the privileges, I guess would probably be a better way to put it. One of the privileges that you get by being a parent is the ability to name your child. However, I do think a parent should take into consideration a couple of things before naming the child. I think the practice of naming a child after the father in this day and age is probably a little bit passé, and probably should be, because it can lead to a lot of issues, especially nowadays. You'd think it'd be easier because it's like, oh, just use social security number or whatever, but it's not easier. It's not. And I see it all the time with people having problems because of their names. So I think we should be thoughtful and conscious of how we name our children, and we should also be open to the possibility that sometimes when the children get older, they know what's best for themselves when it comes to naming and things like that. And especially when we're talking to someone who's trans or something like that, they understand how they feel in themselves. Or someone who has had trauma over their name, or someone who's had something happen to them because of their name. And I guess I can see both sides of it, but I don't think in this instance that OP was being an asshole. I think she was just trying to instill in her sister that she needs to put some thought into this.
The verdict is...
Okie pokey, let's do one more.